As you are building out your school's online presence, a lot of times we focus on places such as Facebook or Google Business Profile. So when people Google you, you pop up, or even Bing Business Profile as well. But often, something that we often forget about is a lot of people no longer are using search engines. They're using AI tools such as ChatGPT, Claude, Perplexity, and so many different other tools. And my question is how does your school show up in these types of search engines? So if someone is searching for, I need this type of school that can handle these types of students, here's my family situation, what schools do you recommend? How can you be sure that your school is actually showing up in ChatGPT? Well, today I'm going to take you through a little journey here inside of ChatGPT to walk you through one of my clients' schools for the Christian school websites, Redeemer Christian Academy, and I always mispronounce it, Wayzata, Minnesota. And so we're going to do a basic search here inside of ChatGPT. Now, I do want to say I'm not signed into ChatGPT because oftentimes ChatGPT, when you're signed in, they have a history of your different chats. So I want it to be clean, have no different context by which you can or it can skew or manipulate the data. This is just raw, straight ChatGPT giving stuff out to me. So, for example, here's what I'm going to do. I'm first going to do, what can you tell me about Redeemer Christian Academy in Wayzata, Minnesota? Now, it's always best to start with this specific prompt for your school for a couple reasons. Number one is you first want to see what information it is actually pulling in from different search engines or from different articles or your own website to make sure that when you read through this, is this actually correct information? That's the first thing you need to do. So as we go through this, all of this is correct. They are a private Christian school, address, phone, and affiliation. Beautiful. Their mission and philosophy of how they work and what they emphasize, what their program structure is, tuition, all these different things. Now, we can continue on and get more information about the Christian school. For example, we can do, what can you... So, for example, the big thing with Redeemer Christian Academy is they only go through 8th grade. And the question is that actually a good thing or is that actually a bad thing? And so as we're going through this, you can kind of go a little bit deeper dives into your specific school. You can ask a question about what do you know about its athletic program, what do you know about its spiritual life, student life, all those different things. But what I think is fun is we actually built out an entire section on this website that talks about the K through 8 model benefits. So that way, rather than leading with, oh, we only go through 8th grade, sorry, we actually say, no, that's not a bug. That's a feature. In fact, it's actually better for your students. And here is why. And it's pulling in that information. But then the next thing is once we start to get some information, okay, tell me more about the school in this specific area, you then want to see how it's stacking up with other Christian schools in the area. So let's go ahead and now ask ChatGPT, tell me about other Christian schools in this area. So now here's what ChatGPT is going to do. It's going to search the internet and it's going to find all the different private schools in that specific area. So for you, if you're from South Bend like me and you're going through your school, it's going to pull in all the different Christian schools around the South Bend community and it's going to give a quick little breakdown of what's going on. As you can see, it's found that there's a Montessori school and it says open, which is actually connected to the Google Business Profile saying that they are open right now for their hours. So that's good that they have that updated. There's another one right here from Minnetonka Christian Academy. And then there's some other faith-based ones here as well. So then the question then would be, okay, here we go. Then we got the very quick summary of, is it a Christian focus, what type, and what not. So here's the next question we want to do as we're doing an audit inside of ChatGPT for our school. So what can you tell me about the differences between my school, and let it know what school is your school, now, this is where it gets fun with ChatGPT. Rather than just giving a very simple prompt and just letting it do what it wants to do, we want to tell it how we want to view the data right here on the screen. So I'm going to say, show it to me in show this in a grid format that highlights both the positives, the negatives, the differences, and what would be best for a family of 4 kids. Here we go. Let's see what ChatGPT kicks out. All right, so it is all done populating, and this is where it's really, really fun. So now we can see all the different categories when it comes to class sizes, academics, extracurriculars, and this, that, and the other. Now, something that is interesting that we can view here right on the stats is we can start looking at where these data points are actually coming from for us to be able to then go further in and say, okay, do we need to correct some of these data points, or where can we include more information on these third-party sites? Because here's the big deal with ChatGPT, okay, including Google as well. They want to make sure they can get all its information off of your own website. What do you say about your school? But they also want to see what are other third-party platforms saying about your school to pull in more information. And in fact, as ChatGPT starts to rank things, as we go farther into ChatGPT, we are actually learning that ChatGPT prefers third-party data, not first-party data. Here's what that means. They want to see other information, what other websites are saying about your school, rather than just what you say about your school. As we can see here for Redeemer Christian Academy, a lot of this is coming off of the website. You can see down here in the bottom left side of my screen where it says where that URL is coming from. These are all coming specifically from the website. However, this one is coming from elementaryschools.org. As we continue on, some of these other schools might have things like niche schools or the private school review. That's another great website that we can get information on, but we're seeing where this information comes in. We're seeing very quick breakdowns. We're seeing very good things. So let's continue on with what ChatGPT did for us. So quick highlights and what it matters. So one thing you would need to consider for this specific school is that you have to have a separate high school. That's just a fact. But again, Redeemer says that's not a bug. That's a feature. But this is breaking down all the different schools of what it's best for and maybe what you should consider as you are actually going through and auditing your school website. You want to make sure that as you are going through this, you want to say, is this information correct? Are they highlighting different features from different schools that we can actually highlight as well? Because those are features for us as well. And so here for it's like these schools offer small, intimate Christian experiences, but oh no, that's for them. Right here for especially good if your child thrives in exploratory environments. That's the MO of a Montessori school. However, I know a lot of classical education models will then actually have these types of features in there. So you want to make sure you use these verbiage on your website. So let's do a compare and contrast really quick, okay? So it looks like right now, Redeemer Christian Academy and Minnetonka are the big differences. So here's what we're going to do, okay? So we're going to say, look at Redeemer versus Minnetonka Christian Academy. What are the main point of difference between the schools? And then as we go through, it's actually going to start doing separation for these things. Now, as we are doing these types of audits, we do want to make sure that this is giving us the right information. But a lot of times parents have questions pretty much about, is this the right school for my family? So they might say, here's what we have for my family. Here's what different things that are going on. Do you fit the bill for this? So I'm going to give a real life personal example of my specific family with some of our special needs. Okay. So I'm going to say we have a family of eight kids, ages ranging from 2 years old through the 8th grade. One of my children has a lot of special needs and an IEP for academics. Others have different needs and might need All right, so check this out. Real world example, which school based on my family situations would be best for my family? And now what ChatGPT is going to do is going to take all the information it already processed, all the information that it can find online, and then actually help me make a judgment call based on what is the best thing for my family. And it's going to go down through all the different schools. We don't need that. It's going to go through all the different schools, and figure out which one is actually better. So right here for special needs and IEP implementation, that's saying that Minnetonka Christian has the most robust option for formal IEP support because they collaborate with the public school system. And as we can see when we go to their specific website, it actually says that right here on the website. Whereas Redeemer does not provide a formal special education program, but does differentiate learning in the classroom, offers targeted small group help, pullouts, and extra practice for students needing support. Now, the question would be would this actually make me make the call to say, okay, this school is obviously better than the other one? No. But what it's going to do is all of a sudden rank the different schools for what I need, because this is saying that what it means for my family, the best fit is probably MCA, and it's still a good fit with some differentiating for RCA, but then there's some alternatives for early years. Next step, call this, call them, and which is kind of, let's be honest, just the basics of what we need to do for Christian schools. But at the end of the day, here's what you need to make sure you have in place for your school. You want to make sure your website provides all the information that is needed on the webpage. As you can see right here, when I go to Minnetonka Christian Academy, I can't even click on their, here we go to the logo. We can see that their website is there, it's live. Is it the best look in the world? No, but it has amazing amounts of information there. Whereas for Redeemer Christian Academy, the website itself does look a little better. It does function a little better, and it has all the right information there. We just got to make sure it says the right information that we want it to do based on what parents are searching for with their schools. Let's say I want my kids to have a great athletic experience. Which would be better? And then from here, I'm able to search my terms of basically what my family wants. So here's the challenge that I have for you with your Christian school, okay? Number one is go through ChatGPT and just figure out what information is bringing forward about your school. Because if it's bringing it forward to you, that means it's bringing it forward to everyone else. And then if that's what the information that you want it to be bringing forward versus not, it's time to actually update your website's copy. Also, it's probably time to update your website information on other websites as well, such as your Google business profile. Make sure the description matches up. Bing profile, description matches up. All these other different schools, such as niche schools or privatechristianschools.com or greater Christian school, or all these other different websites that we could have, we want to make sure we have the right information in place so that way that when people are searching for a school, they are seeing the correct information. Then from there, do a compare and contrast with other schools in the area to see how you stack up to some of these other different search terms based on what some of your families are listing there. And then if you are not showing up correctly, or maybe in a way that you like, for example, if you're like, no, we can actually step into this gap because we provide this program or this program. We have families in our school that have 4 kids, 5 kids, and here's how they do that. Maybe you need to create some different elements and resources on your website to talk about that. So that way, when people are searching here on ChatGPT, you can see how your school actually stacks up. Here's the last thing I'm going to do, because a lot of times websites do not have the correct information on the back end to even show pictures of the school. So the last search I'm going to do to end this video is this. What pictures can you show me of each school and their campus? Because something that parents might want to do as they're just chatting GPT is go, what do these schools even look like? Now, sometimes on people's websites, they don't have the right, what we call schema information on the back end to actually show the right pictures that we want it to show. For example, all these pictures are here of Redeemer Christian Academy. Minnetonka, they have their pictures up as well. But I do know there are some schools in my area, specifically when I was doing this test here in South Bend, that they did not show any images up from their websites because they actually didn't have those classified correctly on the back end. So as it is thinking through some of these other Christian schools and these images, again, I just want to challenge you, make sure that you actually have all the things in place for your school to be found online, including photos, including the information, and including the text. And if your website is not stacking up to where it needs to be, I invite you to check out christianschoolwebsites.com, where we are able to get you a turnkey website in as little as 3 weeks for your school. And the price point is way below half of what most custom school website builds are, and it's around half of what your school's tuition rate is. If you ever want to see how much a Christian school website can actually have an ROI for your school, let's just say you have an average school tuition of $600 $6,000 per student. And in the first year, you want to bring in 4 new students. If you bring in no new students over the course of the next many, many years, here is the ROI for just these 4 students over the lifetime of them being in your school. In the year 1, your investment would be about $3,000 for the school website and for the monthly hosting. But the revenue for your school is almost $23,000 in the first year. If those 4 kids stay all 12 years at your school with your initial investment, plus just we also did the math for your annual hosting bills, that's all added in, your actual revenue for that school or for your school based on just those 4 kids alone over 12 years is over $300,000. The small investment into your website can set you forward to help you get found online, help you get found in ChatGPT, get people to actually maybe not have you as number 1 on the list, but number 2 to at least come visit your school, where then you can convert them from online visitors into enrolled families and also get your school's revenue up to help keep your school doors open. If you need any help at all, please go to ChristianSchoolWebsites.com. Click Get a Christian School Website today, where you can schedule a call with me right away, or you can send me a message to have a follow-up conversation.